You have already felt as if you are carrying an energy that no one around you can understand, as if something inside you could transform everything, or destroy everything. Scorpion is not just a zodiac sign. Scorpio is a spiritual seal, an ancestral force sealed by the invisible. And when it is activated, it does not ask for permission. She simply wakes up. And when it wakes up, nothing is in the same place. Not even the people, not even feelings, not even reality itself. But what really happens when this Scorpio energy reaches its destructive apex? What is behind this silent, intense, almost sacred fury? Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, had already predicted that Scorpio carried a different spiritual mission from any other sign. He didn't come to please, came to purify, to transform, to annihilate everything that is false, even within you. And maybe that's why Scorpio is feared, because where others hesitate, he confronts. Where the others hesitate, he is reborn from his own ashes. But do you really understand the spiritual power you carry, or that circulates around you when this energy goes on moving? What's more, is this gift or curse? If you feel that this message has come to you for something bigger, then keep watching, because in the next few minutes you will understand why Scorpio did not come to the world by chance, and what angels, dreams, and shadows reveal when this force is activated. And before continuing, I need to make an important request. If at some point in your life you felt that you carried something different, something too strong, too intense, that others can't always understand, comment below. I carry this energy. Your comment is not just an answer. It is a sign, a spiritual seal, a way of saying to the universe, I recognize who I am. Each time you comment, you activate an energy connection field. And here, in this space, every word you write echoes, because you are not alone. There are thousands of other Scorpion souls, or touched by this energy, through the same invisible battles as you. And if this video has already started playing you, leave your like now. This shows us that this message is reaching those who need to hear. And subscribe to the channel because this spiritual journey is just beginning. There is a hidden line between the signs, the archetypes and revelations left by names like Edgar Cayce. And in the next chapters, we will unravel each one of them. But for now, take a deep breath, because what comes next will show you the deepest and dangerous side of the Scorpion soul. The truth behind destructive energy. It is not hatred. It is not revenge. It's something that even Scorpion even understands until the moment awakens. You already felt a silent anger that consumed you inside, but instead of destroying you, it made you stronger, as if every time the world pushed you into the abyss, some invisible strength within you remind you that falling is not the end, it's just the beginning of something deeper. What if what you feel is not just emotion, but a spiritual code activating within your soul? What if this pain that insists on returning is actually a key to something bigger that only those chosen by Scorpion can carry? Scorpio does not feel like the other signs. Scorpio impotente. It intuits, absorbs, plunges into what others are afraid to touch. And so it is often judged as cold, distant, or dangerous. But it is not. He only learned to wear an invisible armor made of silence, mystery, and instinct. What people see as hardness, in fact, is protection. What they call excess is spiritual intensity. Scorpion is the guardian of what is hidden, the messenger of truths no one has the courage to say. And when this energy is activated, whether by pain, loss, intuition, or betrayal, it does not ask for permission to manifest itself. It just happens, like a hurricane that comes from within, like a flame that consumes, purifies, and reborn. Have you tried to explain this to someone? Have you looked in someone's eyes and realized that this person will never understand what you carry in the heart? You already felt strange at parties, in conversations, as if you were in a place where your body was, but your soul was on another plan. Have you ever felt that some people just can't stand your presence, even without you doing absolutely nothing? This is not paranoia. This is energy. Scorpio emanates such an intense vibration, so true, so transformative that it bothers, because he shows, speechless, what others pretend to hide. And that is gift. But it is also a challenge, because this energy, when not understood, begins to turn inward. Scorpion begins to self-balance, to blame themselves, to lock themselves. And this is when the shadow approaches, when he stops trusting his own intuition, wed and tries to fit in, when too much silence, when it represses what should transmute. This is where Scorpio, power is no longer a channel and becomes prison. And that's why so many Scorpions, or people with a lot of influence on this archetype, go through such deep phases of renaissance, lose everything. They lose love, jobs, friendships, but they never lose themselves. Because deep down, even in ruins, Scorpio knows he did not come into the world to live like everyone. He came to break patterns, regenerate souls, open portals. Edgar Cayce said that those born under Scorpio's energy are messengers of spiritual truth, that behind each intense crisis is a mission that cannot be ignored, that when Scorpio feels that there is no way out, it is because he is about to cross a spiritual portal of renaissance, and maybe that's why the pain seems so constant, because it is always being pushed to the next level, and the universe does not allow it to remain in places where his soul cannot grow. Have you noticed this? That, when it all starts to seem too comfortable, does something happen to get you out of the safety zone? A break, a strong intuition, an unexpected change? Scorpio lives in cycles, and each cycle is marked by loss and resurgences, not because the universe wants to punish, but because it wants to purify. Scorpion carries the symbol of the serpent, the poison, but also of healing. He destroys to heal. It burns to illuminate. He suffers, yes, but it is reborn, always, and increasingly strong. And now tell me, how many times have you died inside and continued standing? How many times have you been judged, rejected, betrayed, and yet remained silent, watching, feeling everything? How many times have you had to swallow words, contain tears, pretend strength, just not to scare those who don't understand the size of what you carry? Scorpion is not intensity by choice, it is by destination. And to understand this is to accept that you are not broken. You are awake. So if this video has already touched you in any way, if something inside you started to vibrate differently while listening to these words, leave your mark here in the comments. No need to write a huge text. It can be a word, it can be a sentence, it can be a symbol, but don't leave here without sealing this energy. Write, "I carry this strength," or feeling in my heart, comment, "I've been reborn more than once." It may seem like just a phrase typed, but believe me, it's much more than that. It is a spiritual recognition. It is a sign, and the universe responds to those who have the courage to recognize themselves. Now take a deep breath, because the journey is not over yet. What is about to be revealed can move old memories, with wounds you tried to forget, with parts of you that have not yet been seen, not even for you. Now, if at some point in this video you felt something move inside you, if these words played an old pain, perhaps forgotten, maybe never said, then that's not by chance. You may have been called unknowingly. Maybe your soul was waiting for this exact moment. That's why I want to make you a special invitation. Download the digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026. This book reveals truths that traditional astrology never had the courage to play, because each sign carries invisible marks, emotional and spiritual wounds that shape their history, their failures, their loves, their repetitions, and maybe without realizing it, you lived with one of these wounds open to this day. But now, there is a healing path, a path that begins with self-knowledge and ends in liberation. The link to download is in the first comment fixed, but warning, access is limited, and this content may go down without warning. If you felt this call, even if you don't know how to explain, then listen, because your soul recognizes when something is true. Click now, and if you want to leave your mark in this process, write in the comments, "I heard the call." Let's see who is really ready to heal what nobody sees. And it is precisely when this force seems to be about to overflow that something within you awakens. It is not a rational decision. It's not something you choose to feel. It is as if your own energy field changed frequency, as if everything you have kept for so long, pain, silence, visions, signs, began to throb in a way you can no longer ignore. Scorpion does not only carry intense emotions, it carries old codes. Codes that vibrate according to the truth that he is willing to face. And when these codes activate, the world can remain the same on the outside, but inside, something began to move. And that's where many Scorpions, or people with strong Scorpio influence on the map, isolated themselves. not because they want to get away from people, but because they know that the process that is starting requires introspection. It requires silence. It requires detachment from everything that does not vibrate at the same frequency. And this is what few understand. Because for the world, this isolation seems cold, but for those who feel on the skin, it is a ritual of spiritual protection. This deep dive process is like crossing a dark corridor where only your intuition is able to guide. There are no signs. There are no maps. Just signs. A dream that is repeated. A number that insists on appearing. A shiver that comes out of nowhere. A call that does not cease. Edgar Cayce said that the children of Scorpio are among the few who were prepared to cross the veil, to see what is hiding behind the scenes of reality. And maybe that's why, early on, they feel they are different, that the common world never fully satisfied them. Do you feel there is something else? As if what moves you were not what others see, but something that pulsates behind their eyes, behind the words, between the lines of the encounters? Scorpio lives in the subtext of things, in what is not said. He reads energy. He realizes the lie even when she has been smiling. He feels the change in the air before any warning, and so it is alert, not because you want, but because you need it. It is a mechanism of spiritual survival, a 24 hours a day detecting what no one else sees. Only that tires. This constant sensitivity, this magnetism that attracts everything so hard, including what should be avoided. And at this point, many conflict with their own energy. They try to close, repress, go out. But Scorpio was not made to live off. It was made to burn with purpose. Your presence, even in silence, transforms environments. Your absence weighs. Its energy shapes, deconstructs, reconstructs. Have you noticed this? What are there people who simply disappear after you move away? What are cycles that collapse when you decide to leave? This is no coincidence, this is power. But this power is only channeled when you accept who you really are, when you stop trying to fit in small places, when it understands that it is not the intensity that needs to decrease, but the space around it that needs to expand. Scorpion is not for everyone, and it's okay, but it is for those who need it, for those who are ready, for those who have fallen and raised so many times that he has learned to dance with his own wreckage. Scorpio does not seek the end of things for pleasure. He seeks the end of lies, illusion, repetition. It cuts to heal. He ends to be reborn. And when you understand that, everything changes. And if you have come here in this video, feeling this vibration, maybe you are already feeling this call within you. Perhaps you have already realized that certain situations are ruining not by chance, but because your energy field is asking for truth, is asking for cleaning, is asking for rebirth. You may try to resist, but the time will come when your own soul will get up and say, just. Because when Scorpio aligns with his spiritual mission, he is nothing more tolerated. Neither people, nor environments, nor excuses. Only what is real remains. And maybe you still have doubts. Maybe it's trying to understand yourself in the midst of chaos. Perhaps it is in one of those moments of transition, where everything seems uncertain, where pain is stronger than meaning. But believe me, this is where true activation happens, because it is in the midst of the abyss that Scorpio discovers his wings. And contrary to popular belief, they are not wings made to escape. They are wings made to dive even deeper and return with wisdom. So, now I want you to stop for a few seconds and just feel. Feel if what you heard here echoes inside your chest. Feel if these words lit something on you. If memories, sensations, truths that were dormant were played. If yes, I ask you, comment down here. It doesn't have to be a story, it can be just a word. But choose words that carry power. Write, I carry this energy, or this strength lives in me, or even, I'm going through this rebirth. Because when you write, you anchor, you turn your pain into affirmation, and you show, to yourself and to the universe, that you are aware of what you are awakening. This is the time. Continue with me. Because what comes now, it's the truth that changes everything. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign, and how to heal them before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention, the stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. From an early age, Scorpio already feels that there is something different throbbing inside him, even when it still does not understand what it is. Even when everything around it seems banal and shallow, there is a spiritual restlessness that accompanies it. He feels and too much, see too much, realize too much, and this, instead of freeing it, often imprisons it, because the world is not yet prepared for the depth of your soul. Scorpio is marked by silence, but not by the absence of thought. On the contrary, Scorpio's silence is the sacred space where he talks to the invisible, where he analyzes, present, intuits, and keeps the secrets that only strong can carry. This expanded sensitivity is not any gift. It is a spiritual code, a seal that comes from other lives, of higher plans, and carries within themselves a mission that many would reject if they knew the weight it carries. Scorpio is not here to live the surface of life. He came to cross portals, break standards, expose what is hidden and reborn, as often as necessary, until fulfilling what his soul promised before born. And so the pain is constant, not for punishment, but by purpose. He is the sign of initiation. The Scorpion soul was shaped to support the destruction necessary for transformation. There is a detail that few realize. When Scorpion suffers, it not only suffers, he transmutes. It absorbs pain that is not only yours, filters shadows that do not belong to its history, and transforms it all into internal strength, hidden wisdom, silent power. But the world doesn't see that. The world only observes the ruptures, the departures, the closures, and judge. He judges as coldness, as exaggerated intensity, as a drama, but it does not see that behind each departure, there is an energy mourning. Scorpion walks away when it needs to clean, when you need to silence to hear your own soul, when you need to cut to protect what is still flourishing inside it. This soul, at the same time wounded and healer, lives between extremes, between light and shadow, between the beginning and the end, between what you feel and what you hide. And it is precisely on this crossing that its spiritual power is born. Scorpio does not need the world to recognize him. He just needs to remember who he is. Because when he remembers, everything changes. The posture changes, the look changes, the energy changes, and the world around it begins to respond. People move away, masks fall, truths reveal themselves. Because Scorpion vibration in its purest form does not accept illusion, does not accept lies, does not accept forced coexistence. It requires truth, requires delivery, requires courage. And that is why Scorpio's mission is so lonely at many times, because few can walk with someone who carries the gift of revelation. Edgar Cayce spoke of the mission of the Scorpio spirit as the deepest among the 12 archetypes. He said that this being came into the world with the task of regenerating, starting with himself, to face the abyss itself and then be a lighthouse to others who still do not see the way. And maybe that's why, even when Scorpio wants help, he finds the emptiness, not because it's alone, but because no one else has the cave key where he was called in. This key is spiritual, it is ancestral, it is individual, and even when everything seems lost, when the weight is too great, when the soul darkens, something remains intact within Scorpion, the silent faith, the faith that it all has a meaning even if you still can't see, and it is this faith that keeps him up. It is she who guides her transformations. It is she who lights the embers of the next phase. Because for Scorpio, every pain is a baptism. Each fall is a new code being activated. Each renaissance leaves you closer to your true self. Have you ever felt that way? As if living something bigger than you can explain? As if they are going through pain that does not seem to have logic, but in the background carry a force that transforms you completely? Have you ever looked in the mirror in silence and felt that behind your gaze is there a story that you don't even understand all the way? If yes, then maybe your soul is at the exact point of the turn, on the threshold between another end and a new beginning. Now, if at some point in this video you felt it vibrate inside you, if any part of this path has echoed with what you are living, I want you to do something important. Write here in the comments a phrase that declares this truth. It can be something simple, but that carries energy. You can write, "My soul crosses the pain to transform," or "I was called to regenerate," or "I carry this hidden mission." Choose the phrase that makes sense to you and write with intention. Because every word stated here is a seal, a sign, a spiritual statement, and there is no stronger ritual than recognizing the mission itself. Breathe. What comes next is even deeper. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign, and how to heal them before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings to your day-by-day. Attention. The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. There is a point where the Scorpion soul no longer supports pretending that everything is fine. And it is not a common point. It is not any misunderstanding. It is a spiritual limit, where the body has already begun to get sick, where dreams reveal omen, where silence begins to hurt more than any word could heal. This is where the destructive energy of Scorpio is activated. But it is important to understand, this destruction is not born of hatred. It is born of saturation, of the truth that is no longer swallowed, from the scream that was never given, from the instinct that was too long trapped in the chest. Scorpio, when he finds himself surrounded by lies, manipulations, or toxic environments, not only move away, it transforms itself. And this transformation has a face that few understand, because contrary to popular belief, he does not explode. He implodes. And this implosion creates deep waves. He cuts bows without explanation. He silences suddenly. He closes the door and throws away the key. And when this happens, there is no return. Because when Scorpio decides to leave, it is because he has been too long trying to save something that was already spiritually dead. This hidden fire that lives inside Scorpio is like an ancestral serpent that awakens when it is betrayed, invaded, or disrespected. And we are not just talking about external betrayals, but those who violate their intuition. Scorpion feels when the energy of the other deviates. He realizes when someone is physically present but absent spiritually, and it doesn't matter if the mouth says it's okay. He hears what the person's field is screaming. He sees what is behind the words. He touches on the real frequency, where no one else dares to enter. And when this perception becomes unbearable, it enters a state of rupture. But contrary to popular belief, this break is not an attack. It is a mechanism of spiritual protection. Scorpio needs to preserve his soul, because he knows that if he remains in environments that vibrate in the lie, he will self-destruct. And yes, he often does that. He destroys himself before the world destroys him. He burns everything he has built, isolates himself, disappears, because he knows that reborn from the ashes is less painful than continuing to exist in what makes no more sense. This is why Cayce said, Scorpio is the only sign with the key to death and spiritual regeneration. Because he not only understands the end, he hugs him. He plunges into him. He surrenders to chaos, knowing that he will find the truth there. And it is in these chaos that he meets himself. Only those who have already felt their own soul fragmenting can understand what it means to rebuild it with their own hands, without guarantees, without applause, only with faith. And it takes courage to carry this key. Because Scorpio sees the truth where everyone wants to keep the veil. He feels the vibration of those who lie, who pretends, who manipulates. And when this truth becomes undeniable, it becomes the instrument of divine destruction, not in the sense of punishment but cleaning. He does not destroy for revenge. He destroys to make his way. He cuts what is rotten. It eliminates what contaminates. And even if it brings pain to himself, he does. Because your soul knows nothing blooms where there is lie. Many can't stand this kind of energy. They say Scorpion is dangerous, that is cold, which is vengeful. But this is only true for those who have never understood the value of the truth. Scorpio has no time for emotional games. He wants depth. He wants presence. He wants soul. And when you can't find it, its energy reacts like an oracle. Cuts, closes, cleanses, burns. And yes, sometimes it burns too much, because when it is injured, it does not measure. He feels. It acts on the womb of the soul, by the vibration of instinct, by the voice of the invisible. Have you ever lived this? It was already taken by such a great force that it had to move away from everything, even without knowing how to explain. Have you ever felt that something inside you was asking you to disappear, to destroy, to withdraw, even if it broke your heart? Already felt strange, misunderstood? Lonely for being who feels too much? who perceives too much, who speaks little because he sees a lot. This is not crazy. This is spiritual sensitivity. This is part of your Scorpio mission. You are not here to live light. You are here to live true. And the truth often comes from pain. And if right now you are going through one of these cycles, you feel that you are on the edge, you need to let go of what no longer serves. You need to abandon what weighs you, or feel that your energy is starting to overflow again, as happened other times. So this video is your mirror. This moment is your call. This pain you are feeling is the door. And you already know, Scorpion doors do not open with logic. They open with courage. If ISS talk to you, leaves here in the comments a word that represents what you are living now. You can write, I am burning to reborn, or purific by pain, or carry the key to divine destruction. These phrases are not just comments. They are spiritual statements. They are stamps. They are portals. And each one who writing will be recognizing himself and activating his own journey. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention! The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. After Scorpion energy comes into inner boiling, after pain becomes silent and silence begins to vibrate different inside the chest, something begins to reveal itself. And it is the signs that announce spiritual activation, signs that do not come with logic, but with presence, signs that do not ask for rational understanding but vibrational sensitivity. It is as if the universe began to whisper in codes and Scorpion were the only one capable of understanding. One of the first signs is shiver for no reason. You are in a seemingly common place, any conversation, a normal route, and suddenly the body responds. A chill rises through the spine. The skin creeps, the heart accelerates without something visible has changed. But the soul realizes. This chill is the energetic touch of the invisible saying, attention, something is moving, something is about to be revealed. It is an awakening of spiritual instinct. Another recurring sign comes from dreams, but they are not any dreams. They are symbolic views, with strong and repeated images. Many Scorpions report dreaming of snakes, ancestral symbol of transmutation. Others with deep dark water as if they are submerged in something they do not understand, but know they are part of them. Some dream of fires, mazes with doors, mirrors. There are also those who dream of their own renaissance, seeing to die and reborn in a new form. These dreams are not nightmares. These are messages from the spiritual unconscious, announcing that the soul is being worked at deep levels. Have you ever noticed the repetition of the numbers? Number 9 usually appears frequently for Scorpion at crucial times, on the clock in signs, in random sequences. The 9 carries the archetype of the necessary end, the closing of the cycle, the conclusion before the new beginning. When this number appears repeatedly, it is not a coincidence. It is a sign that a spiritual cycle is closing, and its energy field is being prepared for the next initiation. Another sign is the sudden need for isolation. Not because you are sad or disappointed with someone in particular, but because something inside you calls you inside. It is as if the soul needed silence to rearrange its own energy. Scorpion feels this like no one else. The call to retreat before major changes is one of the clearest evidence that a spiritual transition is about to happen. During these periods, sensitivity increases, perception rises, and intuition becomes more accurate. Many begin to hear their own body more intensely, feel inexplicable tensions, shoulder weight, feet vibrations, or even chest pressure, as if a new portal were trying to open inside you. These signs can also manifest as synchronicities, phrases that repeat themselves, people who disappear without explanation, places that previously welcomed you and now suffocate you, even situations that repeat themselves as testing. And they are not external tests, they are internal evidence. The universe asks, are you ready for the truth? Are you ready to leave what no longer serves? Are you ready to assume your strength without fear of who will walk away? And it's curious how everything seems to happen at the same time. Chaos intensifies, but next to it, lucidity becomes greater. You begin to realize what was hidden. It begins to understand standards that once seemed confused. The people around them change or reveal who they have always been. You feel that you are being pushed to something bigger, even without knowing what exactly it is. And that's where you understand. You are in transition. Your soul is going through a new Scorpio rite. And this rite doesn't have to be understood by others, it needs to be lived by you. It is at this moment that many Scorpions feel among worlds, as if they lived in a space between what has been and what has not yet begun. It is a spiritual limbo, an invisible crossing where the old one dissolves and the new one has no form yet. And it is in this void that the Renaissance is built, not with formulas, but with delivery, not sure, but with courage. If you are living this now, if you are seeing the signs, feeling the air repeated, having intense dreams, noting the numbers, isolating himself without knowing exactly why, know that he is not alone. You are in the middle of the process, and it is happening because you are ready, because your soul asked for it, because you are not here to repeat old cycles. You are here to transform. Now, if all that you heard so far spoke to you, if these signs are part of your reality, then let it record it here in the comments. Sharing is more than interacting. It is sealing. It is recognizing. It is activating. Write, for example, I feel the signs of the transition, or I'm being called in, or the portals are opening. Write what you feel with the words that touch your soul. It can be a short sentence. It can be a word, but write, because here, each comment is a point of light, and every lit light confirms that you are not alone on this crossing. This is where Scorpio journey enters its most delicate part, the part where the risk is silent but devastating. Because as dangerous as activating this energy uncontrollably, it is repressed it out of fear, by shame, for external pressure. Denying your Scorpio nature is like abandoning the compass that guides you in the dark. It is to leave the soul exposed, unprotected, vulnerable to forces that do not respect those who do not respect themselves. And when Scorpio tries to adjust too much to the molds that were not made for him, something begins to die inside. Gradually, the intuition, once sharp as a sacred blade, begins to fail. Decisions are confusing, the signs shuffled, the cycles are repeated, and that feeling of, I'm out of my place, takes over everything. The spiritual protection that once involved you begins to silence, not for punishment, but out of energy consistency. When you reject who you are, your vibration disconnects from what sustains you. Scorpio's soul is not to be tamed, it is to be channeled. But when this soul begins to try to live like others, it gets sick. When she tries to follow standards that do not vibrate with her essence, she disconnects from her mission. And without mission, everything loses meaning. Have you ever felt that? That feeling of doing everything right, but nothing fits. Is that forced peace that inside is disguised anguish? That coexistence that requires you to pretend not to realize what is wrong, just to keep everything calm? So it is. This is the beginning of the vibrational death of Scorpio energy. The body begins to warn. Come the pain without explanation. The deep exhaustion, which does not pass with rest. Insomnia, the randomly accelerated beats, the feeling of not belonging anywhere. The Scorpio soul, when silenced for a long time, begins to scream inside. And this scream, if not heard, becomes shadow. It becomes disproportionate anger. It becomes mental confusion, becomes self-sabotage, becomes addiction to distractions. Because energy needs to go out somehow, and if you don't go out on the spiritual channel, it will look for an emotional breach. Scorpion was not made to smile when he wants to scream. It was not made to stay silent when your field has already detected betrayal. It was not made to accept the superficiality of relationships as if that were enough. He feels what is wrong, and this feeling is not defective. It's a compass. It's gift. It is armor. And if he denies it, he becomes stuck in everything he should transmute. The problem is that society does not welcome depth. She asks for lightness, asks for simplicity, asks you not to talk about what is dense, that you do not confront what is bad. But Scorpio was born to confront. He was born to look at the bottom. He was born to reveal, even if he donates. When he tries to fit too much, when he represses what he sees, what he feels, what he intuits, the price is high. The soul begins to accumulate energy waste. It starts to carry what is not hers. It begins to get lost in the maze of denial. And this loss of oneself is the real danger. It is at this point that many Scorpions come into existential collapses, lose everything, relationships, friendships, work, not by bad luck, but because the universe drops what is not aligned with the truth. And, if you don't have the courage to get out of will, he will take it out of vibration. It is not punishment. It is spiritual recalibration. Scorpio does not walk out of purpose for long. When you walk, the price comes, and usually comes in the form of deep pain. A pain that only calms down when he returns to him, when you come back to your truth, when you rely on your own intuition as the only voice that really matters. And if you feel that you are at this point, if you have hidden who you are to fit where there is no room for your soul, know that everything is about to change. Because this pain you feel now is the alarm of the spirit. It is the sign that something inside you will no longer accept the disguise. It will no longer accept the mask. It will no longer tolerate to live in the shallow. And that, despite scaring, is your salvation. Scorpion accurate Issa really needs depth, need vibrational freedom. When it is who it is again, it all starts to reorganize. And yes, it may be that some people leave, that some bonds break. May you have to stay alone. But this loneliness in this context is not absence. It is purification. This is where your gifts begin to reactivate. This is where instinct comes back, where the vision clarifies, where angels speak again. Because when Scorpio aligns with his essence, he reconnects himself with his spiritual protection. And this protection is real. It is alive. It is ancestral. But it only manifests itself when you live your truth. If this touched you, if you somehow felt that this stretch spoke exactly to something you were living in silence, so declare, not for me, for you, for your soul, for your courage. Write in the comments a phrase that vibrates with this reactivation of your essence. It can be, I trust my intuition again, or enough to hide who I am, or my essence is my protection. Declare it. Write with truth. These words will echo more than you imagine, and they may be the beginning of their reunion with everything that has been silenced. When Scorpio finally stops fighting his own intensity and begins to honor what he feels as truth, something magical happens. It is as if all the layers that the world tried to impose began to fall one by one, revealing what was always there, an ancestral spirit marked by forces that surpass the earthly plane. Scorpion didn't come into the world to fit in. He came to reformulate the mold. It didn't come to follow. He came to lead, even in silence, even if the invisible, even in the shadows. This soul that carries the mark of regeneration does not belong to superficial lightness. It is deep by nature. It has weight, has density, has roots in land that few dare to step. Therefore, the presence of Scorpio is felt before being understood, and often misunderstood for that, because there is a magnetism that emanates from its existence, a call that comes from other lives, from other times, from other realities. Scorpio is a channel, a portal between worlds, a live bridge between what needs to die and what needs to be born. His role in the spiritual web of the zodiac is not to please, not to soften, not to make things easier. It is to bring the truth, even if it hurts. It is to destroy what is rooted in lies, even if it makes it lonely. It is to transmute strength pain, wisdom loss, and chaos in a fresh start. Have you noticed how Scorpio attracts stories of people on the brink of collapse? How do many trust their deepest secrets without knowing? Why? How are he sought when things get out of control? This is not by chance. The Scorpion soul carries healing codes that only manifest themselves in the midst of pain. He knows how to walk between rubble, knows how to hear what has not been said, knows how to look into someone's eyes and realize the truth that even the person himself hides. This is gift, and it is also responsibility. But this responsibility can only be exercised when he recognizes his spiritual mission, when he understands that every crisis that has prepared him to be a guide in the crisis of others, that each fall taught him how to map the way back, that each rebirth has strengthened him not only for himself, but to touch the lives of those who cross his way. Scorpion, when awakened, is a silent guardian of hidden light. It is the one who watches the invisible, who protects the energy field of those who are still blind. And as much as it has been injured, abandoned, underestimated, it remains. Because Scorpion does not give up its essence, he just collects himself. He watches, he waits, he reconstructs. And when you return more strongly, more lucidity, more awareness. Each cycle lived deepens its connection with the spiritual. Each renaissance brings you closer to the truth, to your purpose. And when he assumes it, nothing more shakes him in the same way. He understands that the pain was his teacher, that loneliness was his temple, that chaos was his rebirth. If you feel that this message is talking to you, if your soul has vibrated with these words, if throughout this video you felt as if you were being described without anyone knowing your story, it's because Scorpio's energy is alive in you, and perhaps it's time to stop fleeing her. Perhaps it is time to assume what you are, a being marked by an invisible force that did not come to be understood, but to be honored. You are not here by chance. You are here because it carries something that many are not ready to access, and you no longer have to apologize for being intense, deep, silent, intuitive. Its essence is its protection. Your truth is your mission, and its presence, even silent, already transforms the environments. Remember, Scorpion did not come to please, came to transform. He came to destroy the old and make his way to the divine. It has come to reborn, how many times it is necessary, because he was chosen between the signs, chosen between souls, chosen to be a channel. And if all this has touched your heart, if you have come here feeling every word like a mirror, then now it's time to leave a signal, a seal, a vibrational statement that confirms what your soul already knows. Right here in the comments, with intention and truth, I accept my Scorpion essence. Or if you prefer something even more straightforward, I carry this energy. It may even be more symbolic. I reborn in silence. Choose whatever else echo what you feel now. Do not underestimate the power of it, because when you write, you anchor, you saddle, you declare, and each statement like this moves the invisible, because it's not just about a comment, it is about who you are becoming. If you got here, it's because this message not only touched you, but it belongs to you. And if this content spoke to your soul, then now is the time to seal this connection. First, leave your like, because it shows to the universe and to the algorithm that this truth needs to reach more people like you. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now, because this spiritual journey is just beginning, and you won't want to lose what comes next. Now, leaves here in the comments a word or phrase that represents what this video has awakened in you. It can be reborn inside, or this message was for me, or I'm guided by my Scorpion essence. Write what to feel. The important thing is to leave your mark, because here, comments are more than interaction. They are spiritual statements, and I read each one with my heart. Oh, and the next video is already on the left side of your screen. Click now and continue with me, because what will be revealed there will do all that you felt now, deepen even more. I see you there.